Blessings upon blessings. Oh, come on. And prayerfully, you are there. Just forgive me for the tardiness. I don't know if it's ever happened to anybody, but my phone totally went dead while I was taking my nap. And then when I woke up, I'm like, okay, well, why my alarm didn't go off to get up earlier than this? And then I tapped my phone to see the time, and the tapping ain't working because the phone is not working. The phone is not on. Anyway, uh, I pray that everything is well. I pray that everything is well. Please come on in and do share. Well, no, don't share because this is your private partners call. It is indeed. Come on in. Go ahead and make a post. I do pray that we are live. Are we? Can you all hear me? Those who are present, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. You can. You can hear me. Awesome. Blessings, Destiny. Tonight, I will still be doing 100 days of prayer, but this call is specific to you, partners. First of all, I want to say thank you for being a partner. I know life is doing what it's doing for many of us. Let's make sure it's all percolating. Okay, I'm sorry. One more time, Destiny. Let me know if you can hear me. I already know exactly what we are going to be talking about tonight and what we will be praying over with you all. And prayerfully, we'll get some strategies going on here as to what to do when we're going through. Somebody say, what you going through? uh, mm-hmm. Tonight, oh great I am, we give you glory. We thank you. We honor you. Awesome, awesome. Hey, Nadia. All right. Father, we thank you. And we ask that you would be ever present with us here in this moment. God, I thank you for those who are here. And Lord God, we ask that those that need to be here, that they too will show their faces tonight. And if they already were here, bring them back if it is necessary, Father. God, we thank you. Thank you. Open the eyes and the ears of our understanding that we will be able to thrive in a different way as our hearts and our minds are cleared. God, we thank you. God, we thank you. God, we thank you. In this very moment, there are so many different things happening all around us. And life is literally, for some people, life feels like the Punisher, you know? And I know you guys hear me talk a lot about how we are the ones who are responsible for healing the land because God is in each of us. And, you know, I know you hear me speaking the narrative, but there's so much disappointment, right? Hope deferred, and that makes the heart sick. And so it's very easy to fall into this place, fall into this trap of believing that there is no hope because of what the circumstance appeared to be. Because in reality, we've seen, oh God, we've seen so many um, good things happen. I think sometimes we get discouraged because we feel like, well, good things happen for other people. Don't seem like big good things are ever working for me or happening for me. And to that, I say, take a deep breath again. You know, take a breath and see how very real that breath is that you are breathing, which means that there is still the opportunity. There is still the opportunity. What opportunity is there? The opportunity for you to try something new, the opportunity for you to change your mind. Um, a lot of what we are healing within ourselves, again, are old uh, paradigms, old thought processes that may have worked for a season. It may have worked for a season, but is it working for this one? Is it working for this one? And I need you to ask yourself that question, because if not, you're going to keep spinning cycles doing something that is no longer relevant to where you are in this life. Consider that. Consider that. So I want you tonight to think on a couple of things. What is it that you really want in this life? And what's stopping you from receiving it? What do you really want in this life? And what's stopping you from receiving it? What's stopping you from receiving what it is that you desire? Those of you who work with me closely, as of right now, I see um, the two people who are on. By the way, let me just say that that is awesome for you two to be present, right? First partakers, and you are my team members. You are people who pretty much have access to almost everything that I'm doing. So you should be very used to me at this point or used to certain things. And a lot of times when familiarity becomes a thing, then contempt becomes a thing. In other words, you get so familiar with something that it becomes kind of like Charlie Brown teacher. You know what I mean? Like you so used to hearing what they got to say at a certain time. It's like wah 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 wah. Right. And we can admit it. We can say that, we get tired of hearing repetitive things and, well, what next? And that's not working. What do I do now? Excuse me, I may try to take a lot of water tonight, y'all. My throat is so scratchy. But we all have moments. We all have moments where we get weary with what we may have going on. But when you are deciding that there's something that I want, then oftentimes that's when everything begins to start kicking up, right? Like all the feelings, the emotions, circumstances, the issues, all the distractions, everything that is begins to affect us in some way. So what is it that you want, and what's happening with you that you cannot have it? What distraction, what inner dialogue? Oh my God, here we go again. Didn't we just cover this last time? Did she say that already before? I already tried that. What type of words? What type of influences? Ooh, child, you listening to her? She. See, the Bible say that even the very elect, she is not traditional. She is not teaching the unadulterated word of God. She is not, and she must be dealt with. Right? What conversations? What things coming up? She about to teach them all that woo stuff, and meditation. She said, universe. She said, God is everything. She said, what words? What things? What ideas? You want it, but something is stopping you. You want it, but something is stopping you. What is it that you want? And what is it that's stopping you? Is it fear? Fear that if I actually give this my all, go after it. Fear if I actually believe in myself that I might just actually turn out to be the failure that everybody said that I was in the first place. So I'm just not. Come on, these may not be your exact words, but where do you find yourself in here? What is it? Fear that you're going to disappoint them. Fear that you're going to disappoint yourself. Fear that you're going to disappoint God. And more than likely, every other thing stems from that you know that truth that many of us are not ready to face. And I mean, I guess because we do have free will, we have an option of whether we want to believe it or not. But when your life is in turmoil and your hope is deferred, and you have all these tools and ammunition, because you've been pretty devout in your faith, right? Like you know the chapter, the books, and the verses. You know which ones to put on. You know which ones to cover yourself with. So what's working? You want something. You have been under teachings for all of your life that kind of teaches you and shows you the way and how to listen and how to interpret things, giving you ammunition to know how to navigate through the circumstances of life. And we would say, well, I'm only human, and I can mess up. I know I can. I know that I'm always not as optimistic as I need to be. I know that I'm not doing this the way that everybody think I should. I know this and I know that. And we get into that little narrative, which then causes us still to slip a little bit deeper a little bit deeper into our pit of self pity, self sabotage. This is our partner's call, yes? So, because this is our partner's call, I get to go a little bit deeper than, I may go when I'm public. I'm still going to speak the same things and give the same thoughts, but here I get to really make you think on these things. Of course, you got a choice of whether you want to think or not. And don't think I'm being funny when I do certain things and say certain things like that, because I'm trying to get you used to a different set of words, a different narrative, a different language, and it can be uncomfortable. But what we should be paying attention to is the fact that it's so uncomfortable and wondering why. Why is it so uncomfortable? Bless his man. Why is me hearing the words of freedom? Why is me hearing the teachings of liberty? Why is me hearing the teachings about the unconditional, no condition love of God? Why is me hearing about all of this so scary for me? Why is change so scary for me? I want this, right? When I'm talking to my coachees, the ladies that I coach, it's listen, like what do you want? I don't want to know what you don't want. We probably already talked about it in many of our sessions. But what do you want? And what's stopping you from having it? Now, people do play a role in our lives, of course, because we are here one to another. A person can very well be the person that it appears is holding everything back from you. And if they would just do this, then I would be able to do this. If they would just do this, then I would be able to do this. If they would just do this, then I would be okay. If they would just do this, and everything. It's always if they would just do this would happen. Or if they didn't do this, then this would not be happening. But what if I say this to you? Can you really take this in? Because you do not choose you. Because you do not choose a path that makes life better for you and for those around you. Because many of us are following this whole narrative of selfishness, and it's all about me, and oh, they can kick rocks and I can give what they doing and all these different things. We carry this narrative of nonchalance because we are broken, we are bruised, our heart is broken, and we're trying to be our own protector. But what we fail to realize is that until we actually make the decision to go within ourselves, recognize the kingdom of God in there, recognizing that every decision comes from within you, the answer to everything for your life comes from within you. And God is so God that if we really yield our hearts and our minds to what these teachings are, instead of only halfway devoting ourselves, then we will finally get to a place where we understand that when God gives us an answer for us, it still will not do ill to its neighbor. Because love doesn't do ill to its neighbor. So you ain't got to worry about whether or not it's going to totally hurt a person or not. We just got to pray that they have the same mind that's in Christ Jesus too. So that when a move needs to be made, they don't feel as if it's personal. Like we tend to take it sometimes. We swear everybody else's transition or their moves or what they got going on, that it has something to do with us. I remember when everything in my life was turning. I mean, it was, man. Oh my God, I had some seasons. Do you hear what I'm telling you? And it may be a mixture. This season, that particular season of my life may have been a mixture. It may have been some seed coming back for me to harvest on, to reap. I'm not perfect either. Sure, I definitely hurt some people in my life, and I went through some things. First marriage, my armor bearers in life. I mean, like I got a story for all these situations, but this one particular year, I say in 2016, we finally moved to Union City because the first year when I stayed in Savannah throughout my pregnancy with Christian after we got married, my ex-husband and I got married, I stayed in Savannah for an extra year so that I could have my own doctors and the doctors I trusted to take care of us. And I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with Christian, so I wanted to make sure everything was on the up and up. So I didn't leave until 2016, a year later. When we got there, I think within months of that, I got called back home because my bonus father um, was checking himself into the hospital. My mom was out of town. And they became best friends, even though they couldn't stay married. They was best friends. So she was the one who was kind of taking him to the doctors and doing all those things. And I got the privilege of getting that call. And not that I didn't want her to be there, but I think me having the opportunity to be there was definitely something that brought everything back full circle, you know. And so I got called back to him. It was a few days or before my birthday, and I'm there. Spent the night with him at the hospital. Um, he keeps the ascites keeps building up in his side. All the fluid just keeps coming back, and they're draining it, and it's coming back. And we're still being positive. He has cancer at this time, but he had been doing really well with his chemo port and all of that. So, nevertheless, I'm saying that to say that he got there, um, celebrated my birthday with him in the hospital because he was transitioning. So it's about to take about 3 weeks or so. From the time I got there to 3 weeks later, he was gone. He passed away. So did my uncle. My uncle Lloyd passed first. My bonus father, um, my other uncle, whom um, was the one to first take me to college. He was my grand uncle, married into the family, but still nevertheless very important to me. My cousin Reese passed away, and then one of my other bonus fathers passed away in November, right before the other bonus father's birthday. Right, so this was in a 4 month span. That was within a 4 month span. Had a dream that there would be many deaths, but one of them would be unexpected. The unexpected one was my cousin Reese. The other three of the ones had cancer. And my uncle, that my grand uncle, of course, he was older. So, you kind of, that something may come or not with that. But nevertheless, a lot of stuff happened then. Well, guess what? After that, it wasn't over. I ended up going through such a huge space of time where it felt like everybody that was on my front line was like against me. And I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, why does it seem like everything is against me? All I'm trying to do is establish this ministry. I'm doing prayer on Wednesday nights, trying to do different things to make it relevant for people to have some place to come and get prayer and get prophecy and all this other stuff. And I'm just trying to do your will, God. I'm supposed to be traveling. I'm supposed to, my armor bearers are supposed to be in place. I'm not supposed to have no worries in this season because I'm always concerned about others. I'm going to be a giver. I'm still doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And it's all hell had broken loose. And I was so broken and so shattered by it all that I really did have so many moments where I'm like, I'm not capable. I'm not qualified to do this. This dream of expanding this vision is not much. And I realized, Shalonda, you are cowardly. Yeah, I said it. I said it about myself, y'all. You know why? Because we need to face the facts. That it's not everything outside of us that's causing us not to be able to make it. So for me at this time, now we're talking around late 2017, 2018, because the separation and divorce happened in 2018. So leading up into that, now mind you, 2016 wasn't that far away, where everybody just kind of left, and of course, there were some things that happened in between those times, but this was a time where I was so crushed in spirit, man. Like it was so awful that people could feel it on me, which was really strange. Because normally I'm pretty good at, holding it together, and I was just falling apart, and my hope was definitely deferred because I'm like, God, something should be given by now. Shalonda, you are a coward. You are cowardly. Right? You do have a wonderful heart. You have a huge heart. right? You the king around here, king of the forest, king of the forest. You are king of the forest around here, girl, with a good heart. But that good heart doesn't leave room for the fact in this moment that you are afraid of what people might say, what they might do, and so you just really want to bow out. Coward. And I had to hear the word, listen, literally listen to that word. And anytime we would hear something like that, somebody called us a coward, we would probably look at them like they done lost their mind and get ready to fight. Right? But can you really fight somebody for telling truth? Now we say we want to live in spirit and in truth, and a part of living in spirit and in truth is the honesty. Right? The kingdom of God is within you. Go in there and do a search. They come close to me with their mouths, but their hearts are far from me. And so we get our hearts together. We start to really sum some things up, and we realize that, yeah, I became a coward in the process of being bullied over the years. You know, you get tired of fighting sometimes. I didn't want to fight anyway. And if I could be honest, I really always was so fanciful that I really prayed that this was a world where people didn't have to even learn how to be protected. It's our norm. It's the way the world has developed to live in fear, to live in defense, and do all these different things. And so we have these times and these moments where life is doing what, and life is neutral, okay? So if life is doing what it's doing, it's because that's the frequency that we're all putting out there. What do you want, and what's keeping you from it? Is it your own cowardice? Do you feel like a coward? Do you feel like a helpless coward in this situation? I told y'all I'm going to go a little bit deeper with y'all in here because we need to really face some things. The reason why our hearts cannot be the hearts trusted to assist other people is because we don't even know that we have the power and the ability and the strength to help to hold somebody else up, because we're so busy thinking about the fact that we are weak. Okay, let's go ahead and heal that. What's holding you back? Coming up on the 25th, when I get on there on the 25th, y'all, I'm gonna have new hairdo. That means I gotta sit with myself and cut all of my locks out of my hair. I told everybody I was doing it on my own. I didn't want no company for it. Not my husband, not my kids, not my mama, not nobody, not my team, nobody with me in that moment, because this is very personal. Can I be honest with y'all and let y'all in on a little bit of what I might tell y'all during on the 25th? This right here, my hair, is the greatest discipline I've ever had. What? No, Apostle. Now I guess maybe my spirituality is my greatest discipline. Maybe. But when it comes to things that I've committed to, this was the test of my commitment to something. I had to see what it was and what was going on. Tonight when I go live to pray for consistency, it's a prayer of consistency. I had to really sit with that and wrestle, because I'm like, God, when I think about just my locks, I don't think I've been consistent. And God gave me a whole different revelation of that consistency, and it set me free. Because when I look at my locks, I see all of my phases and stages and inner conversations and moments of weariness and pain. And I can look back over those 15 years and say, girl, that girl. Because most people, and I can't say everybody, but most people who start their locks, they're consistent in the way that they keep them, the way that they wash them, the way that they nurture them, and all of that. And you will see the same pattern in their locks as to where it either got twisted or interlocked. It's a consistent flow all the way down, that looks the same. But God had to say to me, Shalonda, I didn't need you to be consistent in a way that showed everybody else's consistency. I just needed you to be consistent enough to keep going. Right now, my longest lock is probably almost to my mid leg. Like, where that bend in the middle of your leg is. Probably not quite all the way there, but close enough. So on the 23rd, before I do I'm trying to make room for me to do what I need to do. But before I go into my secret place, I'm gonna take pictures one last time with them, try to get a good picture of the back to see how far they have come. And then I'm going to probably do some crying as I think about everything that has happened with my hair, the weight that it carries. Right now, the reason why I had to cut it is because it's too heavy now. I ain't gonna get all into the whole message for uh for 100 days of prayer. But listen to me. It's too heavy now. 15 years I've been carrying this hair. I've been consistent. I didn't cut it and start over. As a matter of fact, the tips of my hair mostly are all originals now. Some of them begin to break off. But after 15 years. So if I haven't been consistent, I don't know what is. I've been consistent to show up. Now I think what we think consistency is sometimes is going to be in the eye of the beholder. Right? What do you think is consistency? That may be something different for you. But because of who I am as an individual, my consistency is showing up and being willing to do what needs to be done in order to get them back to where they need to be. Spending 2 hours retwisting or interlocking or tying knots, whatever it is that I did. I wanted to show myself that I could do it. And now it's heavy because I've been consistent. It's weighted on my neck and on my head. I get headaches a lot now. It's a lot of things going on, which now shows me that even though they have done me well, even though they have taught me something, when it's no longer beneficial, I have to let it go. What I wanted was to show myself that I can be consistent, that I can be disciplined. Then God showed me my relationship with him. Yes, that's why I said I think I'm spiritually pretty disciplined. Once you really understand what that means and what that looks like. It doesn't mean that you're doing everything perfect. It means that you have accepted the unconditional love of God and you are working your way towards something, the maturity of love. That means maturity in you. That means looking at yourself and being able to say, you know what? I am way too negative. And I'm going to do what it takes to be positive. That means reprogramming my thoughts, changing the narrative of my story, putting words in there that feel uncomfortable. For a lot of people, it's uncomfortable to say love. I love you. I love you, girl. I love you, child. Honey, I love you. I love you, my man. I love you. 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 For some people, it is so difficult to hear the word love without them tensing up or going through their minds and scenarios. Yeah, plenty of people say they love you, but just because they say they love you don't mean they do. Interesting. That may be very true. But what is that saying for you? Why are you walking around here grim? Why are you walking around here like you're not important, like you don't have any type of value in this world? Why are you talking yourself out of the things that are good for you? Oh, well, I can admit it. I know I don't really love myself like I should. Great. Admittance is the first step. Now what? What do you want? And what's keeping you from it? The lack of self-love is very real. But again, while we pointing the finger outside, they don't love me like they say, they don't love me like they say, you don't love you like you know you should. So let's start there. Let's start there. Let's start there. What's stopping you? Let me go ahead and answer that question for you. Your mindset. Your mindset. I can't. This is just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Well, things begin to happen when you choose to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When you start anything, there's a learning curve. When we learn how to write cursive in school, man, it was tedious for some. And even right now, today, there's some who never got it. Or did they just learn to accept the way they wrote? Mm. You look right now at any signature and it's different, right? Everybody's signature is different because everybody had to own their own way of doing it. Now, whether it was sloppy in the eye of somebody or not, to somebody else, it may have been perfect form. The work might have felt difficult, but the purpose is to come out of it with your own unique way of doing it. I hope that these words are not just going in one ear and going out the other, or they're not just hitting the side of your head and not even going in your ears at all. Prayerfully, you're really hearing what I'm saying. You are suffering because you are afraid to take chances. You are afraid of being hurt, but yet you're hurting yourself every day. You're afraid to trust other people. You got to establish a trust with yourself first. Trust yourself to do what's best for you. Trust yourself to do something without regretting it. Just trust yourself. I'm going to make this decision no matter what other people may think about it. I have to be able to trust my own intuition. I have to be able to begin to trust the God within me that it won't lead me wrong. Because along this path, you may have to just go a different direction than other people because y'all no longer see eye to eye. How can two walk together unless they agree? So we don't agree. That means we have to walk in different directions. It doesn't mean that we don't love each other still. It just means that I have to find this path that works. You have to find that path that works. But let me tell y'all something. Some of us are too scary to do it because the path that works for you has to do with other things, things that you heard all of your life were wicked. Can we talk real? You can say, well, dang, you can say, ouch. You can say anything as I am talking in the chat. You can let's be real. We face to face with it now. You a love walk partner. That means that you've been listening to something that I've been saying spiritually for a while or just recently or whatever, but you've been hearing me talk about the reality that we are a unique expression of the great I am in this earth. That right there is the first thing for you to own. You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. And you have a right, like just like anybody else, to be able to find a way that is conducive for your growth. What are you scared? What are you afraid of? Marianne Williamson says it's not. Listen, it's not even about the outward. It's us that's afraid of us. You're afraid of your ability to shine. It's not that we are inadequate. It's that we are powerful beyond measure. That poem right there, or that piece, is a part of her book called "Return to Love." Return to love. Return to perfection. Not indeed, and this is what I want you to understand. It's not about your deeds. Your deeds will come into alignment when your heart come into alignment. So if you feel like you're a coward, admit that you feel like you're a coward. And then now we begin to work on courage. Your words, the words that you put in yourself every day, the things that you listen to every day until you establish a new habit should be courage. I am strong and courageous. I can stand up before anything and anybody and do this work that I'm called to do. I have purpose. Everything about me is capable. I've been sitting, y'all, just literally, and I've had so many visions and dreams over my life. But recently, as I am allowing myself to live in my liberty, everything about it has been more vivid and strong. And when I'm declaring and affirming over my life, I can feel it. The visions that I see, Oh my God, it doesn't give me dread anymore. I'm not sitting there wondering or feeling confused, like, or feeling desperate. God, I really do pray that that could go down. I really do pray that that can happen. I thank you for showing me the vision, but I really pray that it's your will. It's his will. You saw it. You desire it. Trying to shut yourself down, talk yourself out of it. I need you to see, and I need you to know. Prophetically, I'm about to say some things to you before we jump off of here, and I want you to really take in what I'm saying. Pikataya, o remandia kosutuku reba katamandia ko reba. Oh God, I see. Me sure remandia kansikio. If you know that you need help with your inner chatter, if you know that you need help changing your mind, I don't want to hear not another excuse. I don't want to hear you say, but this, but that. I mean, I was going to do this, but I was going to do that. But no, let me see your yes. Let me see your willingness to change it. Every single day, if I ask or do a poll right now with my coaching clients, the ones that are a part of the Inspired Affirmations membership, if I ask everybody, how many of you have followed the instructions that I gave? How many of you have really listened to this thing every single night going to sleep, or every single night sitting up, whatever it is that you want to, however you choose to do it? How many of you have done it consistently every single day? Because you made a commitment to yourself. How many listen every single day? How many talk themselves out of listening every single day? I mean, I was trying to, but I just couldn't get into it. It ain't about what you can get into or not. It's about you changing your mind. How many of you show up, and I'm not saying to answer this, you can, hold this in. This ain't a moment of being boastful or anything. This is just taking inventory. I might come down your street, no worries. How many have really gone through it? I came in the group, went into the group the other day to explain, right, how for people, how for them to find it, because our communications got crossed up. And so there were those who read the post, and they understood some of it, but didn't understand all of it. And so there's the first video, which is just my memo to them. They were listening to the memo as if it was the meditation, like it was 8 minutes long or something. But the real affirmation, the 2-hour affirmation, was in a whole nother place that required them to follow a process to get there. How many people wanted it or desired this change so bad that they went searching, that they asked questions if they didn't know what to do? Because I can't let this escape me. And how many sat down with themselves and said, you know what? This may not feel comfortable for me. I may not even understand how it works, but the reason why I'm here, the reason why I'm a part of the membership in the first place, the reason why I have the coach in the first place is because I did not know the answer. So I needed support to get clear. How many of you listen to every message, every sermon, every prayer, every affirmation, signs up for every class, and yet you worried yourself even while doing the affirmations, even while listening to the prayers and the messages, even while listening, you were worrying? God help us today. There are paths out there, and this is something that I had to get used to saying. Everything that I'm saying to you, I had to take it to myself, because Shalonda, if you want to be renewed in your mind, if you want to be bold enough to stand in the truth of who you are, I called you to a whole world. That's a part of your assignment. It don't make me big, bad, and bold. It just means that I'm well versed in what I'm supposed to be doing in this life. But you get me talking to somebody that's talking about technology and some other things, then I got to yield, because that's not my greatest strength. But as I'm going through the motions of spiritually growing and all of this, God has to deal with me on my in my heart, because I agreed. I asked, created me a clean heart, renew a right spirit within me. How do I create you a clean heart if I don't cause you to address the things that's making it not so clean? That's making you not live by faith. So they go through process. How many of you are really ready to commit to your process? You said you want it, right? Right now, I want everybody to go ahead and take out some paper. To someone I hear this, make your spiritual journey your goal. Because while you're trying to, heal from whatever you need to heal from so you can move on, the healing will come when you shift your focus to building yourself up, right? Because you're so used to tearing yourself down. You're so used to tearing yourself down. You're so used to tearing yourself down to the point where trying to build yourself up feels like an absolute total awful experience. And I'm gonna liken this as unto bodybuilding, right? Building muscles. When you first go into that room and you say to them, "Hey, I want to get bigger. I want to, I want to build more muscle. This is that and the other." They are going to evaluate you first to see what the best way is to do that. Well, that's what's going to happen in this spiritual practice. So your focus needs to be on your spiritual practice, which, you know, you may say, "Well, I listen. I'm on the lives," or whatever the case might be. Are I taking a spiritual journey? That's something that you have to decide. Your heart knows whether you're in pursuit of spiritually shifting and growing up. When you are in that place of wanting to grow spiritually, you have to deal again with everything that's hidden, everything that is uh, causing you to be afraid. You have to allow perfect love to surround you and to be present. It's kind of like when you're working on trusting people again, and you got to do touch therapy. Experiencing the unconditional love of God, making that your choice, telling yourself that, hey, I only want to treat people the way I want to be treated, and I don't want to be treated harshly. I don't want people to be mad at me all the time and making me feel like I'm not doing enough. I don't want that for me. So I gotta figure out how I can become. And so as you go through those motions tonight and you make a decision that, hey, I'm in pursuit of my spiritual well-being and liberty, so I know that I'm not going to always make this perfect mark, but I got to start letting God touch me. Shikataya man socorreba. And when he's touching me, when he's getting intimate with me, when he's showing me that he loves me, I can't be afraid that he's going to break me like everybody else, because he's within me. So I can get more gentle, I can get more kind. I can be the secure place. That's what this journey is going to make happen if you allow it. You learn how to create your kingdom to be a safe space. And you walk forward knowing that you're going to have to abandon some ideas and thoughts, so that you're no longer mean, so that you're no longer hateful, so that you're no longer judgmental, so that you're no longer broken and walking in unforgiveness. You got to let it happen. And then you will begin to see the results that you are looking for. But when God wants to touch you, when God wants to impact you in some way, you got to let it happen. That means when God is giving you something, the rebuttals must stop at some point. The surrender must happen. The rebuttals must stop at some point, and the surrender must happen. Take a deep breath now. As you allow yourself to be free on this spiritual journey, a lot of what you know will have to change. A lot of these things, it's not that it doesn't resonate with you, it's that you're afraid to grab hold to it because you don't want the feedback from other people. Sexual orientation is one of those conversations. Again, we're going to have it here. God has not released me to have that conversation publicly yet. Some people still not able to deal with the fact that I'm talking about multiple paths and ways to God. So if they're not comfortable with me saying there's multiple ways to God, all within the same mind, right? Because we have a pedestal on this name over here and this name over here, on this name over here. But the Christ mind is the thing that unifies all of these paths. There's just practices. Some of you are stressed out, but you will not take yoga because you heard that it was of the devil. And my challenge for you is, well, maybe you should look into it. You're a whole adult. Now, if it's going to be too intense and too much for you, you may want to wait till I have a discussion about it. All right. So I can try to break it down to you as good as I'm able to. But if you are strong enough to be able to start researching things, it's the scripture tells us to study to show ourselves approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightfully dividing the word of truth. The word of truth is bigger than just the Bible, because God is all things. So that means he spoke in different ways to different people. And that may be a little bit too much for you to be able to handle. And if it is, that's your uncomfortable space, right? You can choose to, hey, well, this resonates with me and I need to study it further, or no, I'm good. I'm gonna stand on my principles on that. Either way, you should be in total faith and total peace with that decision. But if you are not willing to pursue past where you are, then you need to try to make where you are work. You don't want to do yoga because you think it's something that whatever, without doing research, without understanding, without trying to get an understanding at all. Right? We call people all kind of names, and we listen to the church call people all kind of names. Like, wait a minute. How are we even representing the Christ? Because I don't even see that. Some of you may need Reiki. Some of you may need, we do massages, don't we? We'll go to the Chinese people for massages. We'll let them do all kind of different things with their art, because they have learned the art of healing. Other countries, other cultures over the Middle East is probably, the place where they learned a lot of healing method. What's the word? Healing methods. And it's been something sacred and healing for people over the years. There is nothing unclean in and of itself. God made all things for himself. There's a purpose for all things in this earth. What makes a thing unclean has everything to do with what is in the heart of the intent of that individual. And that's the reason why we have to be careful about what our intentions are, so that we're not spewing the same venom out that we're afraid to receive. But if you're hurting and you're broken and you've been trying the same thing all your life and you still are in a place of hell and suffering, then it may be time to disregard some things and build yourself up in another way. How do we get to be a stagnant swamp when we're supposed to be flowing waters? Pure and clean and good for drinking. Doesn't mean ain't no activity and ain't no shaking things up and it ain't no fun. Life is balance. And we get to tug it whichever way we want. Take a deep breath. Make an inner commitment to yourself. And I'm only talking to those who keep saying what they want, or they don't want things to be like this and that. So now you got to find out what you want. You don't want that? Okay, cool. What do you want? I mean, I don't want to. What do you want? I don't want to mess it up. Oh, okay. So that means you want to. I don't want to live in pain. Oh, so that means you want to. What do you want? Methodologies. That's the word, Nadia. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary. You know what? I ain't even gonna try to pronounce it no more. This ain't my day to pronounce long words. So I'm gonna stay in my lane today. But there are different ones, and oh, so there are that, being that I'm in this position and God is saying that, I have to learn a lot of different things, methodologies. I kind of learn a lot of those in order to be prepared for those who may come into my life over time, as we are Love Walk Outreach Global, which is non-denominational, faith-based. Now we will speak from the perspective that I know, and then I will share other things. So I stand on the true Christian principle of love, outside of Jesus not even asking nobody to start no new religion around his name. But I think the name is to be Christ-like, and I can agree with that. That's my goal, my agenda. But as I go along, I'm going to have to face some things that I have all my life heard were corrupt, were bad, were wrong. One of the greatest diss that you can give somebody, especially if you grew up uh, religious, is when you hear somebody say, "Oh my God, that's a witch." And you not one time, at no time, at no time, at no time, at no time have ever even studied the word, because you're afraid to study it because they told you can't study nothing outside of the Bible. Anybody ever pay attention to the fact that, yeah, like, if God is as real as he say, he ain't got to control nobody or make nobody fearful, because the truth proves itself. The truth proves itself. So why am I afraid of stuff that I don't understand? Why am I easy to judge another? I've been friends with people from all type of backgrounds and walks, and my heart is still full of love, and I ain't out the doggone, you know, take away from nobody or make nobody feel bad about themselves, because I have to choose my path. Why am I angry with them or judging them for them choosing theirs? And then I'm even more mad because they got victory with what they're doing. They're happy. Families are good. They good people. They just have practices. But the scriptures in Romans 2 tells us basically that those who live the principle or live the laws by nature, God acknowledges them. Jesus said that I have sheep that are not of this fold. In other words, there are other people other than you Jews, other than those of you who are following me, that are living these principles, that have forsaken what they used to know to follow this. So we have respect of persons. God doesn't. And you're going to miss your healing because you're holding on to your old narratives. Pharmaceutical drugs have side effects, but they are a support in some way. Find the thing that works for you. But because you're so worried about other things and you're not healed within your heart, you're going to use everything. Everything's going to be a trigger. Everything's going to be tough for you to do. Everything. You have got to find out what it is that you want and work towards it, and use the support that comes along with it. We are going to knock everything down. Everything is bad. Everything is wrong. Everything is demonic. Everything. You wonder why your life is so miserable, because you are only seeing the shadows and believing that the shadows are after you and they're a bad thing and they're awful. You got to be able to make a decision. You got to be able to make a decision. I want you to take a cold, hard look at yourself tonight. Shikataman soko rebakataya. I'm gonna take a few minutes and we're gonna do some meditation. Get face to face with yourself tonight. Be honest. While you steady complaining about what's not happening, you haven't tried everything. And I don't mean everything to pressure you to go out there and to try some stuff that's going to make you feel scared. If you are not drawn towards it, do not even bother in the first place. I'm talking about those of us who have been pulled towards something and we really want to try it, or we believe that it's harmless, and we are allowing fear to keep us from trying different things. But you're crying out. You're crying out, and God has sent you assistance. Oh my goodness. God has sent you assistance, and you fight. It's like, you watch those movies where the person is coming to rescue them. And as soon as the person shows up, they're like, hey, my name is such and such, and I'm here to take you home to your parents. How do I know? And you start kicking, screaming it. And I understand the trauma of not knowing, but I guess at some point you have got to decide whether you want to be rescued or not. This is that moment. Shikataya man sokorabai. This is that moment. This is that moment when you make the decision. When you make the decision of whether or not you want to be looking around every corner, looking over your shoulder, can't even walk without being full of anxiety, but you're afraid to take the medicines. Well, if you're afraid to take pharmaceutical medicines, why don't you try plant-based medicines? Oh, God don't want me to do that. God don't want me. God don't want you to do nothing. Then if that's the case, so tell me what's gonna help. Y'all, we would rather give up on this life in this body. We would rather take the beat down of people's words, but more than that, our own self-abuse. We would rather do that, defend our traumas and our issues, than to really explore the possibilities that God just wants you to live. To be alive without living is hell. Shetaman socorreba. To be alive without living is hell. You afraid of the afterlife? You afraid of after death being burned up, but you want to live in hell right now? Shetaman socorreba. Be willing to give it up. You want to be saved? That just means you want to be rescued from that which you are in. If you want to be rescued, you want to be free, you got to allow yourself to give it up. Shikataya man soko. Rekataman sikiu ku rebakataya. Lift your hands if you're not too embarrassed. See, you in your own space, and I can say lift your hands, and you will hesitate about lifting your hands, or at least put them down on your lap with your palms up. See, this is the stuff that we're going to have to undo. I told you this is coaching time for those that want to go a little bit deeper. Do you realize that we hate on everything? We hate on being or on those who meditate. Yet, Peter in the scriptures meditated. Jesus went away to meditate. You listen to other people speak to you from their own understanding, and a lot of times you're going to get the message all mixed up. You realize when you see that person, the chakra sign of a person meditating, why does that offend? That's somebody talking to you about getting your spiritual things in alignment. Being a full and whole person. It's talking about the same thing, different methods. So when you put your hand on your lap, if you got your legs crossed or you got them straight or whatever, or you sitting down and you just put your hands down on your lap and you lift your hands up, palms up. Some of y'all won't even do things like that because it's too deep. You got people making you scared of everything that you won't even try. This is a sign of surrender. God, in other words, I open myself up because I've had my hands closed for too long. Do we not realize that if we are not going to open our hands for something to go out, then that's also closed so nothing can come in? Open your hands on your lap, either that or lift them high. If you lift your arms high right now, that's a sign of surrender. If you put your hands, some people a little bit more subtle, man. I'm a G. I don't have my hands all up and everything. Whatever. Take it in levels. But when you put your hands down and you have your palms up, it is a sign of surrender. There are other things you can do with your fingers in different ways, because guess what? If you've ever had pain and you had somebody press down on a certain pressure point and it relieved that pain, it's the very thing that you are running away from. When people talk about acupuncture, or they talk about things that have to do with pressure points with the Asians, and they're teaching you these things, but we're so afraid to embrace teachings, taking the meat and leaving the bones, that we're miserable. Our bodies are out of alignment. We're dying slowly, and we're afraid to try other methods because somebody told us that if we are in such bondage and if you want to be free, then you got to let it go. And I'm open to whatever it is that you want to do in me. This is my sign of surrender. See, but when we say that, God, I'm open to whatever you want to do in me, then that means you open yourself up literally to now have some life lessons and experiences that brings you face to face with the thing that you're trying to deal with within yourself. You think you just going through? You think that everybody just around and don't believe in you and they getting on your nerves and ain't nobody think that you're doing enough and all of that? God is dealing with the insecurity within you, the feelings of inadequacy within you. He's allowing it to come up and to manifest itself on the outside, and you're acting out. Because in your heart you do feel inadequate. You feel you believe the hype. You allow other conversation to penetrate your heart more than you allow your positive words to infiltrate. You got to make a choice, and today you are in a posture of surrender. If you choose, I remember sitting at altars, going to the altar all the time and thinking, God, nothing's working. I keep praying. I keep coming to you. I'm tarrying. Jesus, 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 Jesus. And I believed it with all my heart, and I had faith. And so I would feel a quickening within me. And I would cry, and I would probably, I haven't purged a lot in my life, but definitely done coughed up some things. Because they say, you can cough it up anyway. It can release itself from any place, like come out as burps or gas or yarns or whatever. It just, things come up and out, throw up. And that's the stirring of the thing that got you vexed. We may call it the spirits of such and such. Come up and out. Spirit of combativeness. See, not that combativeness is not clean in and of itself. It is. But when you are combating against your own deliverance, when you are combative, you want to be free, you want to be whole, you want to be saved, but yet and still, every time somebody comes to extend a hand to help you out of it, you combative, you defending it. Release that today. I will ask God for discernment, and I will trust this process. Surrender. Surrender. Man socorreba. Surrender. Surrender. Right now I see a couple of you at the start of your path. And you need someone to take your hand in this moment. Not everybody needs that. Some of you are well on your way to walking. You're no longer a babe, no longer an infant, no longer a toddler. You're capable of walking on your own. You're just trying to figure out the world. But there are a couple of you that are at the start of your path, and you need a hand. You need somebody to grab your hand. Man socorre bakataya man sikio robokotu. I'm extending my hand. You're not alone at the start of this path. It's the start of a new path. Well, in actuality, it's a part of your same path, the same path that you've been walking. You just had to take a new lane on the journey. And yes, it is possible for one path to lead to another path and that path to lead to another path. All things are possible. Some people will walk the same one path their whole life and it works for them. And they're living the spiritual principles to show you. Then there are some that take some from this pot, take another from another pot, take another from another pot, because you need the variety. It's a part of your personality, a part of your makeup. There'll be a day, y'all, where like literally in my coaching and in these spiritual practices that we're going to be real with ourselves. We're going to take these tests, even things to show us different parts of ourselves so we can better understand ourselves. I'm going to be offering a whole lot of different things because if you really want to be free, we got to work through some things. One size does not fit all. Sometimes we need to know ourselves. Anybody ever wonder why certain things are so bad, but it makes so much sense? Some of you have been afraid to be able to even look at your sun sign or something because you're afraid that you're going to burn in hell. You're going to burn in hell because you're looking at a way of studying. It's just a research. It's a way of studying individuals and people so we can better understand ourselves. So if you see your sign and you read about it and it sounds accurate, you don't jump into it and start worshiping it, but you find out, let me see what these characteristics are about myself, my strengths and my weaknesses, so that I can work on these places that are weaknesses instead of settling into, oh, that's just the way I am. It's called maturity and growth. And if nothing has helped you so far, how do you get to reject anything? Discern. Try the spirit about the spirit. See if it be of love, of God. And then take the hand. Take the hand. You're showing your face, but you're still feeling the fear. Come on, we're walking. Take a deep breath. We're about to take the first step. You can see some of the rocks and things on your path. Don't let that distract you right now. You see some boulders. Instead of looking at them as something blocking your pathway, admire it. Walk up to the boulder. Look at the details inside of it. See all the many colors wrapped up into this one thing that cannot be explained. How did it get here? How did it form? How did it get to be as big as it is? See, somebody sees a block. Another person sees something to study and to know. God, here's another place where I get to know more about you and your creation. Why did you choose to manifest as this boulder? Do I need to just walk around it? Or is this one of those things that I need to use my tools for to break it apart because there's something in it that's even more valuable? So you might have to go through the labor of breaking the boulder down little by little, bit by bit, because it's building something in you. Come on, we're walking. Don't be intimidated. There's billions of people walking their paths right beside you. Some are intersecting. Somebody might say, well, that's so much chaos. Oh my God, I don't want to be out in this traffic. I don't want to be in this traffic of life, but you're here, one to another. So if you feel uncomfortable with being around others, I need you to take a deep breath. And I need you to ask God to reveal to you what's there, what's holding me back. Why am I so agitated with people? Why am I so frustrated with myself? Bring it up and out. Shekataman sokoreba ikataya. See, I'm holding your hand, but I'm not walking for you. You must walk the path. I understand enough to know what I need to be to people when I need to be it. Sometimes we feel intimidated by other people, but the truth is we all need something different. Older children have a complex sometimes. You know, I'm the oldest, I was first, and then all of a sudden somebody else came along and that took me out of that place and I felt like I wasn't relevant anymore and all of that. We have our interpretation. Instead of seeing it as you are, you're the oldest, you're the leader, that means you have something that the next person will not have. But instead we feel intimidated and we feel pushed aside, and even if the parent doesn't know how to balance things out as well, I think especially during that first stage when a new baby comes, the parent has to give more attention to the babe. And oftentimes we feel misplaced, we feel pushed off, and that complex carries you throughout your life. And so you have this subconscious thought that people only need you or want you around because they need something from you, especially if you had to play big sister role or big brother role or whatever the case might be. Oh, they just used me for this. No, you were just kind of second in command at this point or third in command, and you needed responsibilities. It's time to grow up. But we feel like something was missing. I need y'all to come on, bring that up and out tonight. I'm going to spend this time with you. I'll go live when I'm able. But bring that up and out. We all contribute to our communities. But when we really want to do something different, see, we don't realize that it's us at those times sometimes that's not living in love because we're so concerned about ourselves, not realizing that everything we're doing right now is equipping us for when we are able to break free and to live our own life. But in the meantime, in between time, you're learning some things along the way. Some of y'all probably know how to cook right now today because you had to be the one to cook the meals. You know how to host people because you had to be the ones to host. You have things that you grew in those times. But instead of looking at what you gained, we've been programmed to look at what we've lost. Come on, surrender it. Surrender it. The things you wanted to do at that time, if you still have a desire to do them now. You get to choose, you get to make the decisions. Whatever you positively wanted to do. If you got to save money in order to be able to do it, you've been dreaming, you had this fantasy about what you wanted to do in your life and you want to do that, go ahead and start putting your plan together for putting the money to the side. There's nothing to stop you now from living. And even during those times, it wasn't meant to stop you from living. It was meant to equip you with the tools for your living. Surrender the resentment. Shuka. Rekatamanso. Us younger kids, we have the same complex in a different way. Right? It feels like the weight of the world is on your dang on back and shoulders, especially if you have multiple siblings. Because not everybody expects everything to go a certain type of way, and you feel like you're being stifled and suffocated. Like, God, can I even have one thought for myself? Can I just stop having people tell me what to do and push me around? And they call themselves protecting me, and in actuality, I feel like I'm more smothered than ever. And when I say I want to do something and it doesn't line up with what they think it should be, I'm the one being looked at as stupid or crazy, or you should do this or you should do that. And you, as if everybody in the world, no matter what path you choose, don't see challenges. We all gonna see challenges, but I need to be on this walk to get to know me, to know thyself, to know that very unique expression that's showing up in this world as the great I am. God, how do you want to show up in me and through me? You have the liberty now to explore that. Take a deep breath. What is it that you wanted to do during the time when you were being raised? either being raised by the circumstances or being raised by experimentation, trial and error. There's a way that we have to learn lessons. They don't just get downloaded into us. As a matter of fact, they are at the core. Everything is known, but we got to do work to uncover. We got to be participants, but the work can be sweatless. There's no more toiling, sweating by our brow because we're trying to dig in dirt that's not cultivated. No, 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 no. We're in a different space. We're in a place of freedom, of liberty. And as you pursue the foundation of love as a solid foundation, that every decision that you make being made out of this place with faith through love, with faith through love, with faith through love, giving yourself grace and mercy along the way. Oh my God, what an unfolding. What a beautiful awakening. And you want a bucket. No, embrace it. We still walking. Sekataya man sokorebash. Mekata man sokoreba. Surrender. If you are fully surrendered, then the only thing you're going to be wanting to do is to dig in a little bit deeper. What do I need to know next? Everything that you are gaining in this space is for you to apply. Not for you to keep just gathering and eating and eating and eating. Eventually, even as a caterpillar, all that eating you've been doing, you're going to have to get someplace and get real still so that the transformation can happen. If you tired of being alive without living, I just need you to type in the chat, I choose life. And after you type it in the chat, I want you to take a deep breath, hold it for 3 seconds. And as you release all of that breath out of you and you push everything out, I want you to declare it out loud. I choose life. Obstacles be damned. Learning experiences. I'm going to take those on. I know what this is. This is not something to destroy me. It's something to make me go within myself to figure out what the answer is to this solution, this problem. I'm not stuck. Problems and issues and circumstances, they are those boulders that show up, the rocks that may try to trip me up. But if I'm aware and I know it's there, I'm gonna do what I need to do. Do I need to walk around it? Do I need to break it down? All of it is to build something in me. I choose life. I choose life. I choose life. Everything does not vanish when you choose life. You now have decided to be a participant in the unfolding of your life. This is, of course, the greatest discipline of our life, to show up every day for life. Sekataya man sokoreba. Shekataman sikio rebokutu amaya. Take this one last deep breath, and when you do, I want you to say it again to yourself, and you keep repeating it. Because I'm gonna log off of this one. I'm gonna log off of this one so I can go live within the next 5 minutes publicly. Because I gotta continue in this flow. However God is leading me tonight. But I want you to keep repeating, I choose life. If it makes you feel more comfortable, say, I am willing to live life to the fullest. I am willing to live life to the fullest. I choose life. or I'm willing to live life to the fullest, whatever feels more comfortable at this time, but continue to declare it and don't stop. You have to take the initiative for yourself. I'm still right there holding your hand as we're walking, but you are affirming. You have to let it come out of your mouth. Man soko rebakataya. Rekatia mandioko so remandioko. I choose life. I choose life. I choose life. I am willing to live life to the fullest. Shoo, I am willing. That means I'm ready for whatever comes to teach me and help me grow. I choose life. 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 I am willing to live life to the fullest. I am willing. I release my stubborn will. I soften my heart. I am willing. I choose. Shekataman Sokoraba. I won't stop until I find the peace that I desire, and I will not allow any distractions or words from other people who just don't understand. Maybe they want to stay stuck, or maybe they found a different way to their liberty, but you're trying to find the way to yours, the path to yours. Continue to tell yourself the truth of the matter, what you're really willing to do. I want to thank you for joining me for this time. Thank you for being a partner. Thank you for giving. In this space, eventually I will be teaching about certain principles when it comes to sowing and giving and pouring. We're going to be elevating our thinking when it comes to these type of things as well. We're love walking. We're living one to another. So we got to learn about the principles, sowing and reaping, and what that means for our living. And so I'm going to enlighten you on some things during our time together. But I'm grateful for you being present. I'm grateful for you being a partner with us, and continue to be. Continue to be here for these things. Now, of course, I'll still be live publicly, still be pouring. Be well. Be well. I'm heading over to the public 100 Days of Prayer and everything tonight. If you don't have anything else that you must do, then I encourage you to wait for the notification of when we jump on live, which will be in the next 5 to 7 minutes or so. Put it on and let it play. You about to go take a shower, you're going to be relaxing, put it on, let it play. If you're about to fall asleep, put it on, let it play. Let it seep into your subconscious mind. But continue to put yourself in a position where you're growing, where you're just getting fed to grow, fed to grow, fed to transform, fed to transform.